Hello and welcome. My name is Carrie, and I am so pleased that you have arrived here. Today, we are going to honor the new moon with a beautiful yoga flow in order to create some space in your body and your mind so that you can set some intentions for this new moon cycle. So, get into something comfortable, grab your mat, and we'll begin. So, sitting comfortably on your mat, you can have your legs crossed or you can have them outstretched, whatever feels comfortable for you, just as long as you can get your spine nice and long. So, setting your back of your head up over the back of your pelvis and taking your shoulders up to your ears, we'll let them roll down our back. Just taking a moment in this pose to settle, to arrive on your mat. So today we are in a new moon. So new moons are great for setting intentions, for setting wishes, and dreaming lofty dreams. So before we do that today, I thought it would be really good to make some space, not only in our bodies, but also in our minds. So at the end of the class, we will be in Savasana setting our intention. But to start, let's bring our hands to our heart center and just setting the intention for creating space. Taking a moment, breathing in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Letting your shoulders relax, creating some space between your shoulders and your ears. Focusing in on your breath, maybe creating a little more space between the inhale and the exhale. Feeling your body nice and solid on the mat. Feeling the cool air flowing in through your nose, warm air flowing back out. Beautiful. Let's bring our fingers together. We're going to flip those palms out and up over our heads. Maybe taking a little side bend from side to side, creating some space in your rib cage. And then releasing your fingers, letting them float down towards the mat, nice and slow. And as we go through these poses, if anything doesn't feel right, just don't do it. We'll bring the left arm up towards the ceiling, getting nice and long in the side body. And then slowly coming over towards your right, keeping that left hip nice and heavy. Maybe lifting the elbow up towards the ceiling, maybe looking up towards the ceiling. Creating that space with your breath into the lungs. Maybe expanding them a little bit more. And then we'll leave our head and the right arm where it is and take the left arm, letting it float back down to the mat, towards the mat. It might be just hovering a few inches off the floor. Creating some space in your neck. Breathing here. And then we'll slowly push ourselves back up to center. Let's inhale, reach those arms back up to the ceiling. And taking the left arm back down to the mat. Reach up a little higher, keeping the right hip heavy as you come over to the left. Elbow up towards that ceiling, maybe looking up. Breathing into the rib cage, creating some more space for your lungs to expand. And then we'll let the right arm float back down, keeping your head and your left arm where they were, creating some space over in the right side of your neck. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then we'll push ourselves back up. Let's take those shoulders up to our ears again, letting them roll down your back. With your hands on your knees, we'll just do some seated cat-cows to start. So as you exhale, rounding your back, tucking your chin in, and then inhale, letting your chest expand, head, nose coming up. Taking a few back and forth movements, seeing how the spine is feeling this morning. And then coming back to a neutral spine, let's take ourselves into a nice big circle. So going from left to right and then all the way around to the back. As you move forward, you're inhaling. As you move back, you're exhaling. Nice and slow and steady. And then when you get back to the front, we'll take it in the other direction. Moving in a big circle. And then coming back to our neutral position. So we're going to come onto our hands and knees, getting ourselves into our table position. Having your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Taking your fingers nice and wide, and we'll do some cat-cows in this position. So as you exhale, rounding your back, and then inhale, letting your belly sink down as your head and tailbone come up. Moving freely and easily with the pace of your breath. Beautiful. And once more coming back into that sway back cow. And then taking it into a black cat. We're going to let the hips come down to the heels into our child's pose. Taking a moment to breathe here. And then on your next inhale, let's slide ourselves forward and up into the sway back cow. So we're going to flow here. We're going to exhale, rounding into the black cat, coming back into our child's pose. Inhale, slinking forward into the sway back cow. Again, just moving with your breath. Making any adjustments so that it feels right for you. Taking it slow and steady. And we'll do one more, coming back into child's pose and back into our sway back cow. And then bring your spine back to neutral. We'll take our fingers a little further ahead of our wrists where they were. Curl the toes under, and we'll make our way into our downward facing dog. So pumping one heel at a time, waking up the back body, letting your head relax in between your arms. Then maybe bringing both heels down towards the floor. Hips rising up a little bit higher towards the ceiling.
And then we'll just walk our hands back to meet our feet. Bending your knees a little bit, hanging out into our ragdoll here. You might want to grab hold of the elbows and just gently swaying from side to side. Beautiful. And then coming back to center, back to stillness, uncrossing your hands. Let's slowly roll ourselves up, keeping your chin tucked until you're feeling nice and stable, and then you can lift your head up, letting the shoulders roll back and down. So coming into our mountain pose, standing up nice and tall, feeling both feet firmly planted on the mat. Coming back to your breath. Beautiful. Let's take our arms, reach them all the way up to the ceiling, and maybe bending the arms so that you can grab hold of your elbows. And we're going to slowly come over to the right, creating some space in that side body, and then back to center, and then over to the other side. If it doesn't feel right to have your arms tight to your head like that, you can always bring your arms straight. So whatever works for you. And then we'll come back to center, and we're going to come over to the right again, but this time let's bend the knees slightly. We're going to take those arms into a nice big slow circle, coming up the left side and then back up. Beautiful. Let's go to the other side. So coming to the left, bending the knees slightly, coming all the way down to the mat, and then coming back up to the right. Beautiful. And we'll do the right side again, over to the right. And nice big circle, like you're the moon, floating. And then the other direction. Beautiful. Coming back up, let's release the arms up to the ceiling, letting them float back down by our sides. Maybe take your feet a little further apart, and we'll just let the arms sway from side to side, getting loose and limp. Beautiful. And then coming back to center, let's reach our arms back up, feet are hip width apart. We'll exhale, folding back down over the hips, coming into our forward fold, creating some space in the back body. Taking a few breaths here. Then we'll walk the hands back out into our downward facing dog again. Taking a moment to settle here. And then we're going to come into our low lunge. So you can either bring your knees down to the mat and make your right leg come up towards your hands, or you can take your right foot up to the ceiling and then bringing that right foot in between your hands. So whatever works for you today, letting that left knee sink down, coming into our low lunge, sinking down into those hips. Taking a moment to settle here, maybe lift your nose up towards the ceiling. Breathing. We're going to flow back and forth. So as you exhale, straightening out the right leg. As you inhale, bending back into that front knee, stretching out the hamstrings and sinking back into the hips. Moving steadily and mindfully back and forth, creating more space in the hamstrings. Beautiful. Coming back to center, sinking back into your hips in your low lunge. We're going to plant the left hand down. Bring that left foot up and see if you can grab hold of your foot with your right hand. Pulling the right foot towards your bum, giving your quads a nice stretch here. And then you can release that foot, bringing your hand back down. And let's bring the left knee back up and right leg back into our downward facing dog. Breathing here. And we'll come into our low lunge on the other side. So you can get there by bringing your knees down or lifting that left leg up. And then bringing the left foot forward. Right knee comes down, sinking into your hips. Taking a moment to settle here. Breathing all the way down into your belly. And then we'll just move back and forth. So as you exhale, straightening the left leg. Inhale, sinking back down into the low lunge. Moving with your breath. So when we can coordinate our movement with our breath, it helps to calm the mind, which then creates space for magic to happen. And we'll go back and forth one more time. And then settling back into your low lunge. Planting that right hand, we'll take the left or right foot up and grab hold of it with your left hand. Squeezing it up towards your bum. If you have a strap, if you wanted to put that onto your foot, you can. Giving you a little more room there. Beautiful. Let's release that foot back down and let's bring the right knee back up and coming back into our downward facing dog. This time, let's walk the feet back up to the top of the mat. Folding over our hips, coming into our forward fold. And then bending the knees, rolling yourself back up to our mountain pose. Standing up nice and tall. Shoulders roll back and down. Taking a few moments, checking in to see how you're feeling. Maybe bringing your hands to your heart center, feeling that heart beating. And from here, we're going to do a little clearing Crea. So it's a little flow. And as you do this, just imagine you're releasing and letting go of any heaviness. So the first pose we'll come into is Warrior One. So send your right leg back and then reach the left arms up, bending into that left knee. Breathing in the confidence of the warrior, letting go of the doubts of the warrior. Feeling nice and strong here. And then we'll bring the palms together at the heart center again. And we're going to come into chair pose. So take the right leg forward, sinking into those hips. If you wanted to take it a little deeper, you can always take your right foot onto that left knee, depending where you're at today. And then from here, we're going to take the right foot back into warrior two. So it's parallel to the back of the mat. Stretch the arms out, looking over the fingertips, and relax the shoulders. Seeing clear vision for your future. Beautiful. And then bring your hands back together. We'll make a cup and bring that back foot forward, offering out this empty cup to be filled. And then bring your hands back to your heart center. We'll do the other side. So let's take that left leg back, bending into the right knee, coming into warrior one. Reach the arms up, looking up, feeling nice and strong. Beautiful. And then bring the palms back together to the heart. And we'll bring the left foot forward, coming into our chair pose, or maybe even bringing that left ankle onto your right knee for a little more challenge today. Breathing here. And then we'll take the left foot back into our warrior two, reaching the arms out, sinking down. Gazing out into that beautiful future. Shoulders relaxed. Beautiful. Bringing your hands together, cupping the pinkies and the palms together. We'll bring that back foot forward, offering out that cup to be filled. Taking a couple of breaths. And then bring your hands back to your heart center. We're going to come into a nice wide-legged stance here. So taking both legs nice and wide. So your feet are parallel to the mat. Maybe slide the hands down to your thighs. Will come over the hips. So sinking in a little bit deeper here. Maybe even sliding those hands all the way down to the mat if you can reach. We're going to straighten out the left leg, bending into that right knee. And then coming over to the other side, straightening out the right leg, bending into the left knee. And just moving back and forth. And if your legs are feeling nice and strong, you might even want to send your arms out like wings as you go back and forth, creating some more stability in those legs. And then coming back to center. If your arms are out, you can bring them back down to the mat. We'll just wiggle the toes in just enough so that you can come into our squat pose, sending those hips down towards the mat. And you can stay up on your heels if that is where you're at. And if you can get your heels down and bring your hands to your heart, even better. Something to work towards, taking a few moments, breathing here. Closing your eyes. And then we'll ease our way onto the mat, sending your legs out in front of us. Give them a little wiggle, maybe pointing your toes and flexing your feet here. Maybe even taking your ankles into circles. And then the other direction.
Nice. Let's take the right knee, bend it, and bring the knee across the body. We're going to come into a shoelace pose. So just checking out how this feels with your right knee maybe on top of the left knee. And if you feel like you can go a little bit deeper, you can take that left leg. We're going to bend it in the other way. So both feet are on either side of your hips. See if you can stack your knees coming into our shoelace pose here. So taking a moment, letting both sits bones settle back down onto the mat. Making sure there's no sharp pains for you. Making any adjustments so that it feels right. And then from here, we're just going to fold forward, letting our head come down towards the knees. You might even want to stack your fists so that your forehead can rest on your knees. Shoulders can relax. Sending your breath down into any tension, any tightness. Creating some space in your hips. Using that breath to release any tension. Taking a nice full breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Slowly making your way back up. We'll bring our hands behind us and uncross those legs, bringing the feet flat to the mat and just letting the knees go from one side and then the other. Giving your hips a little massage. And then we'll come back to center, stretch your legs back out, and we'll do the other side. So left leg can come up, resting your left knee down onto that right knee if you can. And just see how this side feels. Now, both sides aren't necessarily always balanced, so one side might be a little easier than the other. But if you can, we can take that right leg and tuck it in. So we're in a little shoelace on this side. Taking a moment to make any adjustments so that it feels right for you. Closing your eyes, letting your hips settle, relax. And then we'll slowly fold forward. Again, letting your head maybe rest on your stacked fists or on your knees. Using your breath to ease away any tension. We'll take a breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. Slowly coming back up. Bringing your hands behind you and uncrossing your legs. And we'll just let the knees go from side to side again. Beautiful. And then coming back to center, we're going to bring our hands behind us so that our fingers are facing the opposite direction of our hips. Feet underneath the knees. We're going to lift the hips up and then lower them back down, making sure that your shoulders feel okay, the wrists feel okay. Inhale, lifting, exhale, lowering. Once more, let's lift and lower. Good. And then lowering yourself all the way down onto your mat. We'll bring the knees in for a well-deserved hug and a rock from side to side. And then leaving your right knee in, let's stretch the left leg out, maybe pointing and flexing your toes. Nice. And then taking your left foot on the mat, we'll take the right hand and grab hold of the inside of the right foot, coming into a half baby pose. See if you can pull that right knee down towards the floor. And if it feels right for you, you can stretch the left leg out, getting a little deeper stretch here. Keeping your breath flowing. So at any time, if you find you're holding your breath, you might have gone a little too far. It's a good monitor for how deep we're going. Good, and then we'll bend the left knee, release the right foot. Let's bring the left knee into our chest and stretch the right leg out, pointing and flexing your feet. And then bringing the right foot on the mat, we'll slide the left hand to the bottom of that left foot, letting the weight of your hand draw that left knee down towards the floor. And if you want to intensify it, you can stretch the right leg out, keeping your breath flowing nice and freely and easily. And taking a couple more breaths here. Then maybe bending the right knee. See if you can grab hold of the right foot, coming into our full happy baby, and just pulling one foot down at a time. Great way to massage the lower back and the sacrum. Beautiful. Let's release both feet. We'll bring the feet back down to the mat. Stretch your arms out into a T shape, and we'll come into our spinal twist. So maybe lift your hips and let them come over to the left an inch or so as you bring your knees down to the right. Shoulders stay resting on the floor and then looking over to the left. Directing your breath all the way down the length of your spine. As you exhale, just letting go. And we'll take 3 more breaths here.
And then slowly bringing your knees and your head back to center. Lift your hips so that your spine can be nice and long. And then we'll let the hips come a little bit over to the right, letting your knees go down to the left. Taking your head over to your right as well. Nice full breaths in and out. Letting go and surrendering. And taking 3 more breaths here. And then we'll bring the knees back to center in the head. Lifting the hips a little bit. Let's bring the arms in and wrap them around your knees, rocking from side to side. And then stretch your legs out nice and long, taking your arms overhead. Bringing a nice full breath into your belly, and as you exhale, letting go. Let the arms float back down by our sides, palms facing up, coming into Savasana here, closing your eyes, giving yourself permission to rest and digest all of those poses. Feeling all the space you created in your body and your mind. Coming back to the beautiful rhythm of your breath. And with your eyes closed, using the energy of this new moon for new beginnings. Taking this opportunity to dream lofty thoughts and lofty dreams for what you'd like to manifest during this next moon cycle. If you find your mind wandering, bringing it back to your breath, feeling cool air flowing in and warm air flowing back out. And then taking a nice full breath back into your belly. Maybe letting out a sigh. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bringing your knees back up and in for another hug. We'll gently roll to our side, making our way back up to a seated position. Let's bring our hands to our heart center, sealing those intentions, sealing those wishes. We'll take a collective breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, breathing in and out. New moon wishes to you all. Namaste.